In this video, I plan to outline the important anatomical structures of a human eyeball. Here is our first view, a frontal view of the eyeball, and in this we can see several important structures. We can see the white or sclera. We can see a lacrimal gland. This is the lacrimal sac, so tears are secreted across the eyeball and eventually drain into this lacrimal punctum into the lacrimal sac. We can also see the shiny surface, which is an extension of this sclera called the cornea. And then underneath that, we can see the colored disc. That would be the iris. And the little hole would be the pupil. We can also see some muscles from this direction. We can see the inferior oblique. We can see a little bit of the superior rectus. We can see a little bit of the medial rectus and the lateral rectus. And here is the superior oblique tendon. And here is a labeled photo of the front view of the eyeball. Now we're looking at this same model from a top-down or superior view, and we can see several things here. We can see that superior oblique tendon. We can see the superior rectus, the lateral rectus, there's the optic nerve, the lacrimal gland. Here is the superior oblique muscle. And if you look very closely down here, you can see some of that inferior oblique muscle. Here is a labeled photograph of this view of the eyeball. Here is a lateral or side view of this model, and here we can see the lateral rectus. We can see the inferior oblique muscle. Back there we can see the superior oblique muscle. This would be the superior rectus. Here's our lacrimal gland. The white area here is called sclera. And here is our optic nerve exiting the eyeball. And here is a labeled picture of this view. Here is another top-down view looking at this eyeball model. And in this we can see there I've pulled off the cornea and behind it the colored part's the iris. I've pulled out the lens, which is a clear disc. We can see the lacrimal punctum and the lacrimal sac. I can see that superior oblique muscle. I can see the medial rectus here. And here we're going to talk about this in another slide, but this is the nerves in the retina. There's your optic nerve. We can see the inferior rectus down there. Here is a close-up of the printing on the eyeball, and we can see the photoreceptor cells. These would be cones and rods. We can see bipolar cells. We can see ganglion cells. Coming off the ganglion cells, we can see some amacrine cells. And then over here we have some horizontal cells. And here is a labeled picture of the printing on the eyeball. Now here we've pulled the eyeball out and we can see inside the eyeball, but first let's cover a couple muscles. The superior oblique, the medial rectus, the inferior rectus. Now let's look at the layers inside the eyeball. We have the white, which is the sclera. The red is the choroid. This purple is the retina, which contains all those cells we just looked at. This would be the ciliary body. Here's our lens, the cornea, and the iris underneath it. And here is a labeled photograph of this view. And that wraps up my discussion of the eyeball model.